My name is Cody Evans, and I'm the Crop Protection Tech Development Rep with Bayer Crop Science, covering Central and Southern Illinois. And today we're out at our Nortonville Weed Research Center, and I wanted to talk a little bit about early planted soybeans. So we're moving into a pattern of planting our soybeans even before our corn, coming in at those early April, late March timings. Planting our soybeans in, they can handle that colder weather a little bit better than the corn can. And as long as we don't get a frost after those beans come up, we're seeing a lot of success in having those beans in the ground a little longer. One thing to keep in mind though is that if we're adding that extra month or so, usually we were planting closer to early May to mid-May for a lot of our soybean acres in the past, but as we push that window up, we get those beans in the ground a little earlier. One thing folks are noticing is that they start to see more weed breaks in their field later on in season. And that can be the case if you think about it. We're taking a full month off. If we're putting a residual down with planting, we may have a few weeks there that the soybeans stay in the ground, don't come up immediately. So you have to take that into consideration, as well as those cooler conditions. We need to consider which pre's that we put in. A lot of the residual herbicides that we use that are excellent on species like water hemp can have different PPO herbicides, also some ALS premixes in there as well. Those can kind of be hard on the soybeans early on in the season when it's cool, wet, and it takes a long time for those soybeans to come out. So folks might move to something closer to a Warren Ultra or a Warren Mahler. And what we're looking at in some of the trials behind me is how can we differentiate some of these timings, maybe not putting out all our whole pre out right at planting. In a certain case that's worked really well here, what we've done is we made our planting date after a burn down or conventional tillage. We make sure that we're starting out clean. We plant our soybeans. We give it some time to start coming up. We're shooting for that window of being able to have a pre out there to control our toughest to control species, which would be water hemp. We want to try to catch that window before that late April to mid-May is usually whenever we start to see some of the water hemp coming through, depending on weather. And once we get to that point, we want to make sure that we have the residual out there. So one thing that has worked really well here is holding off on that pre. We wait till the soybeans start to come up, or right before they come up, we either put down something like Warrant or Mahler, Warrant and Mahler, so encapsulated acetochlor plus metribuzin. That works really well. It's safe on the beans as long as they're not up. What also I've seen is really effective is utilizing a product like Warren Ultra that's got the famecifin and the encapsulated acetochlor, and we can pair that in with dicamba and make an application as those beans are coming up. And that extends out that residual timeline that we have to battle the water hemp, kind of hold off that next emergence pattern that we'd see with water hemp, and give us time to let the beans develop a little bit, get a little closer to getting a canopy going, and we can make our post application and overlap another residual, another group 15 down the line, if you will. And that just stretches out that period of time that we don't have to battle the new flush. Because what we've seen in the past is guys will put their pre out at planting. By the time they get to the point where the beans are just coming up, the residual is really not there anymore, and we start to get that water hemp pressure coming in. So that's just another little tidbit that I'd like to share with you guys on ways to be successful in next year's season.